generation from Nintendo. New Super Mario World, created especially for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. It's a bit more exciting, a bit more challenging, a bit more graphic, a bit more colorful, a bit more realistic, a bit more levels, a bit more secrets, a bit more enemies, a bit more friends, a bit more sound, a bit hotter, a bit cooler, a bit weird, a bit more revolutionary, a bit more Mario, a bit more of what you want. It's 16-bit, and it's yours only if you get new Super Nintendo. Now you're playing with power, superpower.
Chances are, if you owned or still own a Super Nintendo Entertainment System, you have to have owned Super Mario World, sometimes known as Super Mario Bros. 4 in Japan. It was packed in with most Super Nintendo consoles and became the top-selling game for it. Considering that Mario was one of the many factors that saved the gaming industry in the US, it was only natural that Mario would be a major part of the Super Nintendo's success. However, I was born long after the SNES was first released, so this wasn't exactly the case for me growing up. While I was born towards the end of the 16-bit era, my childhood indeed started out with games from that era, but it was the Sega Genesis that I, or technically my brother, owned.
What Nintendo?
Because I grew up with the Genesis, I didn't get to fully experience Super Mario World until I got Super Mario Advance 2 for the Game Boy Advance. It took many years, but one summer, after I finished up my first semester of college, I decided to buy a Super Nintendo from my friend with some of the money that one of my aunts had given me during my time there. To no surprise, Super Mario World was among the games that were included. When I think about this game, that iconic image of Cape Mario riding Yoshi is usually the first thing that comes to mind. Most of the people I knew who had a Super Nintendo had the game with the artwork on the cartridge intact, and for a while it appeared on the Super Mario bar image on a few ice cream trucks during my youth. This is the game that is known for introducing Yoshi, his species, and his home, Yoshi's Island. He would go on to star in a few puzzle games around this time, such as a game simply called Yoshi, Mario and Yoshi in certain regions, and Yoshi's Cookie, along with a rail shooter known as Yoshi's Safari. He eventually managed to earn his own spin-off series known as Yoshi's Island. That's more than likely one of the reasons why he places higher than Link and Cranky's video game heroes in the original version of Donkey Kong Country 2. Aside from the 16-bit graphics, the people who weren't extremely loyal to Nintendo probably saw this as yet another Mario game that really didn't do much to change the formula. And with Sonic the Hedgehog making his grand debut on the Sega Genesis, it's not hard to see why people turned down the SNES in its new Mario game. Sonic was new, fast-paced, had surreal environments and momentum-based gameplay that allowed you to study the physics of the game in order to get better. Not to mention his attitude with his idle animation. While even I prefer the classic Sonic games over this game, it's pretty apparent that the Mario series as a whole triumphs over the majority of the Sonic series. Heck, there are still some things that this game did better than the first Sonic game. Being a launch title for the SNES, one thing I appreciate about this game is how it showcased the amount of colors that the Super Nintendo is capable of producing at once, and how beautiful it looks on a CRT. While the graphics may not be seen as decent at best now, the fact that we were finally able to see Mario as well as the environments he traveled in full color instead of the 16 to 25 colors at once was impressive back then. All of the power-ups from the original Super Mario Bros. Return. The Super Mushroom helps Mario destroy blocks as usual and can even help Yoshi grow. Using the Starman gives Mario invincibility, and using the Fire Flower on enemies here now lets you burn your enemies into coins. Mondo useful. However, the new Cape Feather has to be my favorite item within the Mario series. Compared to the Raccoon Leaf, even in Super Mario All-Stars, using it to attack feels like you're using a turbo button on a third-party controller, with how swift and often you can repeatedly use the cape to attack. While using it to fly properly can be rather tricky at times, you have the potential to keep Mario up in the sky for longer than you would when using a Raccoon Leaf. I just feel as though that the way losing items seems like a bit of a downgrade, but there is an explanation behind that. In the original Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 3, losing items such as the Fire Flower and Raccoon Leaf work similar to how the original Super Mario Bros. Worked, in that you go all the way back to Super Mario, even if you have an item higher than the Super Mushroom. The international versions changed it so that all the high power-ups reverted you back to Super Mario regardless of what you had. All SNES versions of Super Mario World, however, failed to remember to implement this. While this can be excused for the Japanese version, why on earth wasn't it remembered by the international team? Still, regardless, if you play this game for a long time and learn most if not everything about it, you'll come to realize how easy this game is over its predecessors. You can easily crank out 1-up mushrooms and extra lives within every stage if you're able to showcase your skills and locate the secrets within each stage, all without using illegitimate tricks. Item Holder probably serves as the equivalent to the hit point regression, as you can equip additional power-ups, sometimes even one that you had just lost. For me, it's honestly hard to choose between this game or the original NES version of Super Mario Bros. 3, and that comparison is something that I'll have to discuss another day.
Words can't describe the endless challenge of Super Mario World, so we let the players do the talking. Super Mario World is here. It's one of the new generation of Nintendo games. It comes only with Super Nintendo, and it's like nothing you've ever faced. Now you're playing with power, superpower.